Give us any chance, we'll take it. Read us any rule, we'll break it. We're gonna make our dreams come true.
Welcome to Navtastic, podcast about 8 seasons in a row. I'm Lisa Fernandes, and...
I'm Chris Drive One. Hello. Oh, God, sorry. It only hurts when I breathe, I swear.
And that's the name of the episode we're about to review. It Only Hurts When I Breathe. Directed by Tom Trivich and written by Al Eidichman, who is pretty much a sitcom legend, especially for this show. Chris probably has some facts about them at some point later on. Podcast.
Yep.
And let us get on to the bone-crunching action. The girls get an invitation to the 10-year high school reunion, which will be happening in the summer. They get to reminiscing and start to fight over their general dietary and grooming habits, ultimately culminating in Shirley cold-cocking Laverne. Laverne ends up with her jaw broken and wired shut, leaving Shirley to deal with her guilt. This situation leads the girls to talk out their dreams, ambitions, hopes, and how much things have changed since they moved to Los Angeles. Can their friendship be repaired? What do you think of this one?
There is a lot I love about it, and it's one of those I wish I liked it. Again, I wish I liked it more, but man, the banter is amazing.
Yeah.
The whole Carmine bit when he comes in, does the whole oh, the great Carmine Didi. It's amazing. I love even how as he leaves, when he's asked to leave, and first of all him saying, "May the bluebird of happiness drop a surprise in your orange juice." Hoo-hoo. And Cheryl watches him go and says, "He's so talented, isn't he?" And it's cute, it's precious, it's real. I love it.
Yeah.
I think part of the issue, I think, with this episode, even though I love that the first half of it, I mentioned this a bit in the previous podcast, that this really gets some breathing room. You allow the scene to build and to build. There's a whole bit where, it almost sort of climaxes, and then it starts to come down because Rhonda comes in and interrupts it, and then it sort of rebuilds, and that's what kind of gets us to the whole snap jaw, moment. The slug round.
Yes.
But
the slugfest.
Yes. Slug bug. And it's cool that it takes its time, but it just feels like it could have used a little bit of pacing massage I would say more the directing and also the rehearsing time. If they worked with the rehearsal to figure out, okay, drop this line here, put a beat there, etc. And again, it feels like it's being cut almost a little too fast and too much hey, we need to put a laugh track in here. Because the laugh track felt very distracting in this one.
Yeah. To you, that's an interesting observation, since, the laugh track is just there. To me, it's just there in the background. I don't notice it unless it's a really loud laugher, or unless there is somebody with a unique laugh, or something outrageous happens from the audience, like Penny straddling an elephant, and somebody who...
Yeah. Well, and the thing is...
To me, it never... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
To also, I guess, remind, what I'm feeling here is that this laugh track is added rather than necessarily always being organic from the audience. Because sometimes, and we've talked about this before, sometimes it's not about the episode or the joke making you laugh, it's about making you smile. It's about entertaining you.
Yeah.
And because I will say, this whole sequence is consistently very entertaining, but it doesn't always make me guffaw in laughter.
Yeah. Sometimes it depends on the episode. Sometimes it'll make you think, sometimes it'll make you just sit there and go, why are they doing this to me? Sometimes it'll make you sit there and laugh. Sometimes it'll make you cry. It's a show with variety. And in this case, for me, this is a good episode because it focuses back in on the girls. This is about the girls, peels back everything else in the show, and it brings everything in, and we take the time to sweep away all the ashes and see where they're really standing now, a year plus after moving to California, which is in of itself very interesting and unique because sitcoms normally don't take a lot of time to sit back and reflect like this.
Yeah, especially at this time.
Yeah, yes. And this is interesting because the girls are very much taking stock of their lives at the age of, I believe they are 27 at this point. Yes. They're taking stock of their lives as they're getting closer to 30, and they're looking at themselves and going, wow, all the things I've been thinking of that I've accomplished by now haven't come true. There's a lot of, wow, you're old at 30, but not, You know, they make jokes about the girls being old maids, but then they walk them back because it proves how vital they are and how they can still be kids to certain degrees.
Yeah, well, especially in another 2 episodes, we're going to get something that kind of that really straddles that line of they can still rock out, they're just going to feel a little more afterward.
Yeah.
But even here, exactly. Like the whole thing about the laugh lines. And, you know, laugh lines are just a thing. They're something that you gain with time, and it's... And I have to say, I think pennies are really attractive, to be honest. I think they're adorable.
Yeah.
But I do...
Penny looks great during during these 2 seasons. So it's hard to go oh, she looks like an old bag.
Yeah, but even Cindy, you know, Shirley has the whole thing about being pasty. It's like, I'll have you know, the color of my skin is a classic ivory bisque.
That line, I love that line. Oh, it's great. I love it. Pasty bisque.
How did you feel? You know, when you started to realize there was an element of continuity to this episode, where it mentions the backstory for Shirley's reunions.
Yes.
And Mrs. Kolchak is name checked.
Yes. And this episode is actually going to pay off deeper into the season.
Oh.
We are actually going to attend the reunion with the girls.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. That's where we get to see Rosie again.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And Terry.
Ah, Terry. Terry.
Love it, Terry. Yes. But, yeah. I like that. I like it when the show drops continuity into the pile. I like it when we go back and we reference Randy in season 6. I like it that Laverne's brief over her mom echoes onward. I like the fact that all the things they've done over the past few seasons have come along to continue to influence their lives. I enjoy that. It's one of my favorite things about the show, that it's well lived in enough at this point where we have writers who, at least if they're not willing to look at the book, they have enough working knowledge of the show to know what these characters did and when they did it. Al Adickman, of course, had a lot of writing experience on the show, so it's probably his. Yeah,
this is his 8th of 11 episodes.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But when you have that much knowledge about the show, you have a certain bundle of information in the back of your brain, and you know what these characters did, who they've offended, who they loved, what their greatest accomplishment is, and what their greatest downfall is. And this is what this episode kind of pulls everything into a single pile and talks it out. How do you really feel about that? It does it in a way that kind of reminds me of testing without Dr. Gentry being in the room.
That's an interesting... I wouldn't go that far, but I would say it definitely... There is an emotional honesty, though, that is present through the episode that I really did appreciate. Because one of the things that's interesting about them going back and forth is they first get really mad at each other, and then they sort of calm down, and then they because there's that, I'm sorry I called you pasty, it's, must you always chew like a horse, when you feed me oats, I'm supposed to chew. And then then it's like, okay, then they calm down. It's like, yeah, okay, I get the leg. It's because they taper down at the bottom. And then, it's like, oh, if you want some fat, you can take it off, these 2 buckets here, and she points to her thigh, Shirley points to her thighs. And there is that element, that kind of that nice little back and forth of it, where it's like they're honest, but then they're insecure, and so those layers definitely come in. Although I have to say, I understand that Laverne has known Shirley to be a bit of a powder puff, for a long time. Yeah. But she's Irish, and her dad's a sailor, and she grew up with a bunch of brothers. And she
knows how to punch. We know Shirley knows how to punch.
And Laverne's also gotten into many 2v fights with Shirley, and seeing how Shirley has held her own. And then is like you hit like a feather pillow. Oh God, she was fucking asking for it.
I know. I'm surprised Laverne was willing to do that. She knows Shirley has a powerful right hook. If this is continuous with anything that happened in the Happy Days universe, We know Shirley can knock a man out with her fist.
Oh, yeah. Oh, poor Richie.
Insert joke here, but yes. We know she can punch a guy down to the ground if she needs to.
Oh, insert joke here. I get it.
Yeah.
I see what you're doing there. Yeah. Speaking of smut adjacent things, that interruption then with Rhonda kind of coming in, and there's an interesting other throwback that she brings up of I think it's Laverne asks something like, "Do I know him or do I know who you went out with last night?" And Rhonda's response is, "I doubt it. He doesn't bowl." And I thought of the bowling, the whole bowling team and the pizza bowl, and it was like,
Yeah, memories. There's a lot of nostalgia in the air, in this episode in particular. But even though Laverne threw up all over poor Harriet Glover.
I hope Harry got a new dress for the reunion.
Yep. Never get that drunk at the dances, kids. I wanted to note that the impression Carmine is doing is of Johnny Carson's Karnak.
Yes. Yeah. I couldn't remember the
name. I have no
idea.
idea. Was he doing Karnak all the way back then? I have no idea.
I'm looking it up real quick. Karnak. Character was introduced in 1964.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Hey. Wow. Good work, writers. You managed to actually pull something off this continuity.
Speaking of, last episode, we had a Twilight Zone episode reference, and as well, that was finally accurate. Well, actually, wait.
All they had to do is keep plugging away.
If it was okay, I take it back. It probably was correct, but it might have been off by a few months because they say that the reunion's coming up in July, and I think Twilight Zone may have premiered not mid-season, but at the fall season. Wait, no, sorry. What am I saying? I'm sorry, I'm getting mixed up. Twilight Zone was in 59. I was thinking of Star Trek. Yeah, Twilight Zone was long time back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a long time. That's interesting. That shows that the cultural references are starting to get more on point again. We're starting to come back into this era.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because the writers remember what it was like being young in that era. So it's just easier to just dig in and go, ha.
Mm.
What do you think of the girls' argument just starting with something simple, like their dietary habits, and then just going...
I think what it says is interesting. I'm not a fan of that as the kind of the hook, but I understand also where it's coming from in that it means that there's an air of insecurity and fear within them that is actually going to be prevalent through like the next like 2 episodes as well, where they're trying to kind of find where they're headed, because it's like when you have an anxiety and you can't face what it actually is.
Yeah.
So you have to find some other way of talking about it without talking about it. And, Carmine putting the mail for the invite to the reunion, and he's totally fine because, he seemingly is very secure about where he's at. He's trying to make his move as a telegram singer, and he's probably helping the boy, helping Stab out with some stuff. And, so he's doing okay, but they're in a situation that they're working at Bardwell's. But I mean, the rant that they go on at the end that I think really kind of clarifies that, it really is like this. It basically lit a fuse they weren't admitting was there. Less the elephant in the room and more the time bomb that this just lit the fuse essentially.
Yeah. They're both dealing with various emotions and various tensions, and just boils over, and they realize it. And then it's like, why not dream bigger?
Yeah.
Why not dream bigger?
Yep.
Why not become a doctor instead of chasing them?
Yes. Oh my God. That is my favorite part of this episode, by the way.
Yes. That's a great moment. That's a great moment. And I wish, honestly, they pursue that more with Shirley. Yeah, it needed to be pursued more. I continue to believe that when she got older, that's what she did. That's what I think in the end.
Yeah.
Because in the end, she doesn't need a doctor. In the end, she needs to realize that that's what she wants. She wants to practice medicine. Veterinary medicine especially. She'd be great at it.
Yeah.
She's the only one who managed to make it through that class with poor Mr. Rapolsky there.
Precisely. But yeah, it's anyway, so you have this, this strong first half of the argument, the build up to the punch, and then we have the whole jaw thing, which is definitely a better executed version of the kind of some of the whole Laverne's been injured, that Laverne's broken leg just did such a terrible job with, and God, I hated that episode so much.
So bad, it's not very good.
But yeah, the way that they even get the whole the muffled speak, it's like it's with all the Novocaine and the dribbles and I love it goes from victorious Cheryl to guilty Cheryl to mom Cheryl, all in the span of a few minutes of runtime.
Yep. Poor Shirley is dealing with so much all at once.
Mm-hmm.
She's kind of proud that she actually could cold cock Laverne. Then she feels awful because her best friend is hurt. Then she's trying to make it better by healing her wounds. And in the end, this is a mess. It's just a hard mess because she didn't mean to do it. She didn't mean to knock her out. And now her best friend has her jaw wired shut, can't even speak to her.
Yep. And to make matters worse, she summons the boys by calling it a freak accident.
Yeah. Hello. The ultimate hello. The boys are way too excited about this.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know.
My theory is that the reminder of the reunion is bringing up all the old Squiggy bullshit, because you notice Squiggy does it more than Lenny, and then Lenny gets set off and onto that track after Squiggy says something. Squiggy's line, we came over to see what it'd be like, what it looks like to have a dame that can't talk, and what is it? You'll be a crack at the, and then that's where what leads into you'll be a crack at the reunion, least likely to kiss and tell.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Well,
I was gonna say, and then we get the come on blow for Squiggy bit that I sent to you in video form today,
which many people appreciated in the fandom to see that. Even Squiggy feels bad about upsetting Shirley. He always feels bad about upsetting either of the girls to the point where they cry. That actually does get him going usually.
Yeah, upsetting a girl is one thing, making him cry is a whole other.
Yeah. You seem to know where the line is to a degree.
Yeah. But and you figure this is why he keeps singing that love is a terrible thing.
Yeah. In the end, this sitting there so convinced that Shirley is such a cream puff that Laverne punched herself out.
Yeah.
Laverne, dear, you're foaming.
Oh goodness.
And then Lenny tries to ram the pills into Laverne's mouth. He's trying to help her with that.
He's trying to help. He's
he's trying to help. But that whole bit is adorable, where Squiggy's desperately trying to help Shirley, and she's horrified by all of his choices when it comes to hygiene. He's like, "Well,
his
off to your clinic."
Yeah, his stiff handkerchief. Yeah, for reasons For reasons at that point I can't understand, because there is with the towel that I can understand where that came from, but I don't understand with a handkerchief, because I would never use a handkerchief to do that specifically. So I don't know if it's his hair product or something is getting firm or what. It's
possible. Actually, there apparently are people who use that for that purpose. I have heard of that happening. So
I get the feeling this comes from personal experience before a relationship that I should not ask any further. Moving on.
No, it's not that. Let's just say I have heard scenarios. Put it that way. Oh God. But yeah. The boys make their exit, and we get this incredible conversation. It's got a lot of emotion about growing up.
And we're talking. This is the scene of them in the bedroom, right? This is because I'm trying to remember. That's the very next scene. Yeah. And Laverne's Novocaine wears off, and she could probably talk again. Right. Oh yeah. And there's the whole thing, and there's some cute elements, like how she says forget it, and then it's like don't shout at me, and it's like I'm not sure, it's like because there's an exclamation mark on the on the written piece of paper to try to communicate. She's trying to communicate, and she still gets chastised for raising her voice because of one exclamation mark. Yeah. But yeah, it is a powerful little moment, and it's some of Penny's best acting, I think, for the California years so far, because I love how it's the full pep talk. I mean, she becomes even with her mouth wired shut. It's great. It's a really good pep talk.
Yeah, it's a good pep talk, and Laverne both doesn't want her best friend to feel terrible, and she also wants to let it be known that, hey, maybe slugging me is a terrible idea.
Yeah, right.
They do have that conversation in the end, but what do you think this says about the girls' friendship and their relationship so many years in? That they can have this conversation and come out of it without any really big...
They truly are each other's best friend in the whole wide world.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When it comes to deep friendships like this, where you have to have those honest conversations, and I hate the conversations that get this intense because, man, they often hurt, and there's a lot of swallowing your pride that's involved, which, if you believe in the zodiac, I am a Leo. That's not really... Swallowing pride is a little challenging. But it's also just, though, is a case that with these characters that they are understanding that growth together is more important. And I think also what's kind of special about this idea of the concept of the reunion is that, just like in high school, they are a united front against the world. And even though they were members of the Angora Debs, there was Laverne and Shirley, and then there was the Angora Debs. Yeah. They are a unit.
Yeah. In the end, there is no relationship in their lives that is more important than their friendship. And even as we get into season 8, that's going to prove true. There is no other person who could ever come between them, ever. In the end, what's important about this episode is that it cements, no matter how many years have passed, and we hear 3 years have passed since the last reunion, presumably when the last move happened.
Mm-hmm.
No change in the world, no change in their friendship, and no change in their circumstance of living could ever break them apart. And that's incredible. And it's also, as I noted in my notes, gay as hell. It's beautifully gay. It's queer as hell, this episode. I love it.
And I mean, which is a good way to conclude it, given the very by Laverne remark about, to Rhonda, sure, take whatever you want. Take me with you. It's,
yeah, take me with you. Oh my gosh. And they sing High Hopes. It's been years since they've sung High Hopes together.
Yeah.
And that kind of gets me right in the chest when they just sing High Hopes after years and years and years of not singing it.
Aw.
That makes me feel good.
I mean, it doesn't feel like much to me, but that's because I have to swim in this show all the time now because of the podcast.
Yeah.
So it hits a little different.
Yeah. Maybe things change with time. You never know.
Yeah.
One never know.
Yeah, well,
one never knows.
Well, if I actually watched this show week to week instead of in 4-episode bursts where I had to do it out of necessity rather than because of a desire to, then yeah. But that being said, that actually is one of the interesting things about this episode is how it really shows the strength of Al Eidekman returning as a writer. Really gives it that sense of heart.
Yeah.
And that even the quirks of directing and editing from Tom can't quite take it all away.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And so it's
Sorry.
I guess I probably exactly what you're going to say. He knows when to step back and let the actors do their thing because God, Penny takes that run and just goes and helps. Even though there goes that balloon, she was trying to get Shirley's balloon back up in the air. That's let's be real here. That was the whole plan.
Yeah, that was the idea and that was the plan. And it's wonderful to see her balloon take flight again.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I was going to say is Al Eidekman knows these characters well enough that he knows what everybody's strengths are.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows exactly when to pull back, like you said, when to pull back and when to step forward, and when ultimately everything should be left up to the imagination of the viewer.
Yeah.
He knows these girls so well at this point that in this episode, he makes, this silly argument over cereal which turns into an argument over clothing and bathing and washing, and their attitudes and their behaviors, and then results in a fist fight that ultimately makes them realize that, oh yeah, we both still dream. We both still have dreams. We have things we want to accomplish after all, and even if we haven't gotten the things that we wanted as we reach 30, we can still keep going after them. And that's, in its own way, powerful and shows Eichmann knows these characters, like the back of his hand.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thankfully, we have 2 more from him this season, and his last one as a writer will be a fashionably late episode of season 8. That is a clue. Thankfully, I'm able to report for this time around, he will go on to also take executive script consultant position in the writer's room through the majority of season 7 and 8, including the final few episodes of the show. But I'm really glad to see that, because I really have felt, what would be the term? There's a nautical term. I think it's moreless, without some of the old guard of the writing staff being here regularly. And it's good to have Al back. It feels like the characters are going to be themselves again.
Yeah, which is wonderful. Which is absolutely 100% wonderful. It feels very much like it is I want to say season 5, season 4 episode in that way.
Yeah, I'd say like a mid-tier season 4, season 5. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the emotional heights of, say, The Cemetery or New Year's Eve 1960.
Right. Yeah.
But it's still good. It's still, I still put it in a tier of good episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, it might just have something to do with no Rafkin, no Zwick.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Oh, God. It sounds like such a snob. Oh, God. I hate this. I'm making it sound like I'm one of those guys complaining about, well, if Tarantino had directed True Romance, it would have been better. Oh, God.
True Romance is amazing. Whoever told you that needs to drop.
Well, I used to think that way because I did really fall in love with the way the original script was structured, and then hearing that Tarantino actually loved what Tony did, because no, he did. He it's the only film he's ever done commentary for is True Romance, actually. And he even stated that the way the ending he changed, he said, there is no way the ending I wrote would have worked with the movie Tony decided to make. He said it's a totally different. He said it does not work. That being said, Natural Born Killers would have been a lot better if it wasn't Oliver Stone, but that's a whole other different conversation.
Oliver Stone's gonna Oliver Stone.
Yeah.
There's nobody like him, and there should never be anybody like him again.
Oh, back on track though. This is a good episode. I wish I liked it more than I do, but it's one that the high points of this episode are really strong. And I do think it comes down to my issues with it are coming from it's the edit, it's the timing, the sound. And when I was mentioning the laugh track, it actually wasn't until like the third viewing actually of this episode, because I skimmed this a bit to get some to check for something, and it wasn't until the third time I was like, why is it that joke isn't landing? And then I realized it's the laugh track, that it's pausing for a laugh track, that an edit is happening too soon or too late because of it. There's even the transition from when they come back from the hospital after the sock to the jaw, and there is not enough time to engage with that change of and passage of time. It just goes straight into it, that we're not even able to like have that little before Shirley goes into the whole, that was the worst 2 hours of my life, and then slamming the door on Laverne. So the timing of the joke is off. It needs like 2 more beats, or like at least a full beat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It needed more pacing.
Yeah.
A better pacing.
Yep. No,
within the ending bay is what you think.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like, I can see it to a degree, but not to the point where it really bugs me, where I'd want to go in and rip it apart and redo it.
Yeah.
That's just me. That is just me.
Yeah. And that's, It's different strokes, different folks, different things that.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is the thing,
yeah.
though. This is me. I'm the freak. I'm always the freak when it comes to these things. I'm the person that whines and complains about these things, and nobody understands. And that'll probably be what happens when this podcast goes up. Is people are gonna? It's like, what the hell is Chris's problem? And it's like, yeah, I'm the weirdo. You're 7 seasons in, suckers. You're stuck with me now.
Yeah, you never really escape
Anyway, but yeah, so anywho, is there anything else you really want to cover for the episode? I'm trying to find a couple notes. I mean, I did want to mention
can't think of anything.
The one thing I did want to mention. I love the whole bit of Rhonda coming in. She's like, "You girls, you guys are already up, or you've already gone to bed and woken up and stuff." That whole thing is very. It's cute. It's not mocking. It's very adorably Rhonda's party vibe of like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's also possibly the implication that Rhonda's having a little bit of nose powder to keep herself going as she's dealing with whatever the hell that she's dealing with in her life at this point. But yeah, it's very good. And I did like that as soon as she pisses off Laverne, she's like, hey, here's the marshmallow topping, which, as we've already been informed, is bacon grease.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
Yeah. You're starting to come around on Rhonda, I see.
I
After
am.
all.
There's another episode coming up that actually really redeems her for me compared to how Laverne deals with that situation. That's in 2 episodes from now.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah. Yeah, that changes even more as as the season goes on.
I still thought that To Tell the Truth was a piece of shit episode, though. I'm not taking that one back. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll continue to disagree on that one.
All right.
Should have been.
So for this one, It Only Hurts When I Breathe, episode 2, season 7. What are you ranking this pupper?
Oh, I'm gonna give it probably a solid 8 flat. I think this is another good one. This is another good one that takes all of the good things about the show and puts it into a little singular. Wow, this is a bottle episode. We never leave the girl's apartment.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, it was a surprise that I realized there were no actor notes for this episode.
Yeah, it's just the main cast in the girl's apartment, and it is just about the girls' relationship and their friendship with one another, and how important they are to each other in spite of everything, in spite of the fact that their dreams have shifted and changed and come true and not come true. In the end, that is the core of what Laverne and Shirley is, and in the end, this is an episode definitely worth watching. If you care about the girls' relationship at all, it's worth watching.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun, and it's funny, and it's got slapstick, but the slapstick isn't the be all end all of the relationship, the episode.
Yeah, no, there's more to it than that. Yeah,
that's what. In the end, it is good, and it is trenchant, and it is smart. About who the girls are. In the end, I enjoy it. So that's my ranking.
So I think
about you?
I am gonna be nice. I'm gonna try to look on the positive side, and for my ranking, I'm gonna give this a 6.9.
Hey. Not bad. Good. I'm surprised you can go for a full 7. I thought this was going to be a 7.
I'm waiting for you to just somebody in the comments is going to have to say the thing because there's a reason I put it. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, you're allowed to feel that way.
No, it's not.
It's a perfectly cromulent ranking. You can absolutely rank it that way. That's fine. That makes sense. It works. Is that how you feel about it? That is how it ranks for you. Do not walk it back. That's how you feel.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
Anyway.
That's how you feel about it.
Yeah. Anywho. But yeah, so 6.9, it's about as it's I wish it, like I said, I wish I could get past it, but I'm just going to be me and I'm going to be honest to myself because I'd rather be more honest because that's going to make me enjoy doing this podcast a lot more if I'm just doing that rather than, trying to just bear my way through the last 2 seasons of this.
Yeah. Just tell the truth. Tell the truth. Say how you really feel. We differ on things. That's how it is.
That's how it is. It's all.
It makes the podcast worth listening to and interesting. We just have the same opinion about everything. Everybody would be bored.
Well, okay then. I guess if that's all for today, then I guess we can say, everyone, thank you so much for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, you can join us on Night After Night PC on Twitter, or Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, or Patreon, and over YouTube. And then also possibly you can tell us in the comments, what do you think about us disagreeing about things? I'm going completely crazy at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Micro Machine.
Wow, that's a flashback. Wow, that's a flashback. Anyway,
And then
yeah.
you
So,
go, truck.
yeah, we'll do the post-amble proper after a quick word from our sponsors. But that is it for right now, for today, right?
Pay us, yes, pay us.
Anyway, here's our sponsor. All right, so thank you everyone so much for joining us for Night After Night. And if you would like to know more, you can find us on Twitter at NightAfterNightPC. We do lots of posts from the Laverne and Shirley fandom, as well as keeping tabs on what all the crew and cast are up to today. Anywho, if you would also like to find us on the usual places, you can find us at Night After Night Pod on Facebook, Tumblr, WordPress, Patreon, YouTube, and more, wherever good podcasts can be found, and also the bad ones. And also the weird ones. And also the ones that make you go, what the hell am I listening to? Which probably is what this one made you think of a couple of times. Anywho, though, got this weird nostalgia feeling. What do we got next week, honey?
This season loaded with nostalgia, we're going to get even more nostalgia. Laverne's former fiancée, Sal, tracks her down in California. And it turns out he's thoroughly loaded. After a decade, the engagement is back on, but can he give Laverne goosebumps? This is I Wonder What Became of Sal.
Well, I can't give her goosebumps. They haven't been published yet. This show sometimes. Sheesh.
Bye, y'all. And for the heaven's sakes, if your best friend can knock somebody out that's twice her size, do not challenge her to a fist fight. And also, if you've got a guy trying to shove Aspen through your wire-tight jaw, make sure you give me the liquid kind. The liquid kind!
And have close encounters with it.